in Akutolante, Jamestown, Manchagbona in August. Crusade from Kofi Kinata and Donzi. I love the song so much. Love the song so much. Love the vibe. And talking of the organizer of that crusade, he's right here. His name is Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. And he is the president and the founder of Worldwide Miracle Outreach. Salam alaikum. Shalom to you. Shalom. And sitting next to him is the chair of the Political Affairs Committee of the Convention People's Party, and also an energy expert and a lawyer, Mr. Kwame Jantwa. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Awesome. You can get through to us on 055-556-1034. 055-556-1034. On social media, if you take any photos or any comments, and just use hashtag GTV Breakfast, and we'll go and logo all of them, and then we'll read them for you once in a while. All right? Good. There's a conversation on the death penalty later on, and we'll hear your thoughts on that as well. So you stick around, don't go anywhere. I want to ask my friends what's on their minds this morning. I think I'll start with Reverend.
I think you spoke about death penalty abolition, and I want to clap for Ghana. I know my brother Kwame Jantwa is a lawyer and also a human rights activist. Or you've changed your mind? You are no more.
Is it that easy?
You don't change your mind. Yes. But I think that the reputation that Ghana has as a safe haven and a peaceful nation and people who really love to protect lives, I think this is a plus for us. And I want to commend Parliament to have taken that decision. The Speaker of Parliament has done very well to have seen it through. But the one who mooted it is one of my spiritual proteges I'm so proud of, Francis Sosu, who has been very passionate about these things even before he became a parliamentarian. I know when he was not a parliamentarian, he goes around prisons to look for people on death row, people in trouble, and goes on pro bono to just defend them in court, help them out. So when he had the privilege to become a parliamentarian, I remember very well myself and one of his pastors, we had to lay hands, pray for him, agree with him, and I think I'm happy for him. I'm happy for you, Francis. If you are there and you are listening, I'm happy for you that what you had on your heart to do for Oman Ghana, you've been able to go into Parliament and do it. That today, when somebody is sentenced to death, it can be changed to a life imprisonment. And that also gives us a chance to get people who will repent, people who did not really commit a crime, and people who have become victims of circumstances. You know, Ghana is the 124th country now that has been able to go through the abolition. There are still countries who are still killing. I was reading the news the last time. I realized over 860-something people were killed only last year. And I think that is very painful. We've lost life, and you cannot build life back again. You cannot bring life back again. You cannot reconnect life again. So let's give people the chance. But once again, let me establish my thanks to the entire parliamentary body. And I say these are the things we want to hear of you. These are the things that when you do, I think the whole nation is proud. And the world at large can applaud Ghana. I know by now, Great Britain and most of the countries are clapping for us, that at least we'll be able to set things. Meanwhile, this is also a very good statement for the Americans and other countries that please, they should learn to change certain things. In America, the sad thing is that over the years, it is the people who are deprived, who are very poor, who are not blessed, that normally go through the death penalties. And I think we should check that one too. As democratic as we want to be, it should not be selective. So I want to wish Ghana well.
All right. Thank you so much, Reverend Tete. And the irony is that a day or two after Ghana repeals the death penalty, I'm just reading on the headline, BBC, Singapore to execute woman on drugs charge for the first time in 20 years. So they are scheduled to execute a woman for the very first time. She is a Singaporean national, 45-year-old, found guilty of trafficking 30 grams of heroin in 2018. And she will be the second drug convict to be executed in 3 days after a fellow Singaporean who was also executed and then the 15th since March 2022. And so Singapore has some of the toughest anti-drug laws. And as for them, if you are brought in with even 30 grams or 20 grams of drugs, you're going to be killed. Yeah, it's agbena for you. Yeah, so that's just a bit of context for you about what's happening around the world. Mr. Jantua, what's on your mind?
Good morning to our viewers.
Yes, good morning.
To my boss, Canon, my one and only member of my team.
Okay.
He's my chairman.
Energy Award.
Yes.
Ghana Energy Award.
Yes,
You are chairman.
Yes, so you're team members. Yeah.
Oh, he's a chairman. He's my
Okay,
chairman.
all right. So yes, you are part of his team.
Yes.
Very incisive young man. He's the kind of person who's always preaching peace and finding peace. So I doff my hat to you.
Thank you, my chairman.
Before I come to the bit on the death penalty, one thing that is boggling my mind is the fact that the debt to the IPPs,
Independent power producers.
yes, by the end of this month will be $2.2 billion.
$2.2 billion that
Yes.
the government owes the
Yes.
independent power producers.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And apparently government hasn't been able to stick to the promise they gave them.
So government is government paying small?
Well, they came to some agreement, but apparently they haven't been able to stick to that agreement. So they are meeting today. And for me, it's not a political thing, it's a national issue. If, unfortunately, we start getting fluctuations, light off here, light off there, it doesn't bode well for us. So I will plead with government to try their possible best to come to some agreement and stick to that agreement. Now, death penalty.
For or against?
I'm in between. I'm in between because I felt Parliament should have delved much more into it. What do you do to a person who kills with malice aforethought?
They gave him life.
What do you do with someone who has a mens rea of going to kill?
Intention.
I'll give you a typical example. We saw over TV stations a few months ago where someone got off a motorbike, was holding a rifle, approached a so-called bullion van, and executed a policeman who was doing his duty. That's what we call malice aforethought. That's what we call intention. That's what we call actus rea, where his action caused the death of somebody who was just doing his job. So I felt that Parliament should have delved deeper and selected certain instances where the death penalty would be applied. But generally, for some of these, like you have just mentioned in Singapore, those ones may be. And yes, when you look at Singapore, when you look at Philippines, and you look at Thailand, has the death penalty been able to be a good deterrent? I'm not sure, but you think twice before you take drugs into these countries, wouldn't you? So there has been some deterrent in there. The other side of the coin is, what then happens to the person or family that has lost a parent, like this policeman in the armored car, inverted commas begin and close? What happens to that family? They've lost their father, they've lost their brother, they've lost their uncle, they've lost somebody close to them. What happens to them? So I felt, in as much as it is good that willy-nilly you just can't execute someone who could be innocent, you should have delved deeper into it and had a deeper discussion of what it means, the death penalty. But we didn't. Let's see from this point on how that is done. And by the way, Ghana hasn't executed anyone in a civilian governance, but in the military governance, it's happened. Yesterday I said on another channel, when my father was incarcerated during the coup time, he said in Sawam, the way the prison was, you see the yard in the middle, and they executed people there. The 66 coup, they executed people there, and they did it in the yard to show others that if you sidestep, we will kill you. And executions haven't happened in this country during the civilian rules, during military. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe there are other sides to it we should have considered, and maybe another government to come in and feel if this abolition of the death penalty increases, wanton killing, maybe another government to come in. But then I asked a question, and Reverend hinted on it, Canon hinted on it. A country like America, we get all the international institutions, Amnesty International, putting pressure on us. Why can't they put pressure on America? Because quite a number of innocent people get executed for nothing. So they shouldn't come to us and put pressure on us and leave the others. Why? Is America what? Because they have money and
Who has the gold makes the rules.
But no, it shouldn't be like that.
It's a fact of life.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that.
Might is right.
So you're trying to tell me that because America and Europe have the power to do anything, we should accept LGBTQ plus?
Shouldn't.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's see how it goes. But we haven't executed anyone for a long time, and so maybe it's in the right direction. But for me, there are ifs and buts with it.
Having said that, and having said that, I really feel your sentiment. But from where I sit as a minister of God and a preacher of the gospel, we preach forgiveness. And as barbaric as some of the killings are, you'll be surprised how people repent and they become new leaf. We have records in the Bible. What didn't Paul do? What didn't Peter do? But in the end, they became instruments that God used. I mean,
didn't hear Jima.
Yes.
I think he converted.
Yes.
He repented.
So,
but the others who also never repented.
Yes. So
they did whatever they did.
And Papa Lawyer Jantua, in every society will have the good, the bad, and the ugly. From the days of Bible till today. In fact, when people talk about false prophet, I say, don't we have false lawyers? Don't we have false journalists? Don't we have false judges? Don't we have false doctors? We do have them. I mean, we've had them, we always have them. Don't we have bad politicians? Don't we have bad ones? We do have. But what is important is let's give life the chance and let's give people the chance. If we don't also take care and we go to the very extreme, we lose the very essence of the reason why we want to save life. And I'm saying, I watched the gentleman shoot the policeman in the Bullion van. And truly, you don't even have to be related to the policeman to know that this is evil. But this is an exceptional case. And some of those individuals, if you don't take care and you follow them, you end up destroying the entire essence of the abolition. And so let us just pray that God gives us good people. But whether we like it or not, in every society, whether it's America or Europe, or here in Africa or Asia, we still every now and then have exceptional cases where certain people take the law in their hand. And that is why at least the law should be able to give them some level of life imprisonment. But who knows if those people will turn into good lives. And of course, my heart really goes out to people who become victims. It's very painful, but we don't want to get to that place where it becomes an eye for an eye. At least let's give peace and restoration a chance. And that is where I'm coming from.
If that
in
is
the name of Jesus.
If that is the case, it isn't a one-line thing where you decide that, okay, we're taking the death penalty off the law books. It should seep into the prisons. How do you rehabilitate? What kind of tuition can you give? Because in places like America and the UK, prisoners who have caused crime, killed. In the end, some of them come out professionals, don't they? They have the chance to train, they have the chance to learn, they have the chance to read. They are rehabilitated because there are programs in the prisons that help reform them. Is it the same with our prisons?
I think so, it is. In fact, I must say, though, that I don't know the last time you visited some of the prisons here, but I've seen some level of reformation. Some of us became very concerned. A few years ago, when I was still spending my time in the UK, I came to Ghana to visit a particular prison. I don't want to mention it. And I left very heartbroken. My wife and I spent 5 hours in that prison. When we came out, I was in tears. And then, of course, we spoke. A few of us wrote letters, went to see Director Generals and whatever prison judge. A few years later, when I went, I saw some improvement that was quite impressive. At least there are people who are doing their masters in prison now. There are a lot of people who have gotten into vocations, who are technical jobs now. In fact, TVET is in some of our prisons now. And I think it is bring, except for some people that whatever you do, they can't change. There are people who are not ready to change, but there are few who want to take advantage of the fact. I went to the ladies' prisons and I saw a lot of women who were trying to do some handicraft and things. And I think that is a process. So I agree with you, Lord Janto, I fully agree with you. There must be a system in place in our prisons that will revive the people, reconstruct them, rejuvenate them, and let them come out the better people than they went. Of course, in prison, most time, you realize that some people go and they become criminals more. Like the Akoraboni, or what do you even call that?
Akoraboni school.
Akoraboni school. I remember when we were little, when they say Akora, we offer Akoraboni, we watch them with them, because when they come, they also do all the weird things. But it's supposed to go and revamp, rechange, and revitalize, and then also change the mindset of the people. So I agree with you totally. The prison should be set in such a way that our even prison wardens, the prison officers, should go through constant training, so that it will not just be like, we've caught you, we've caught a thief, we've caught an armed robber, so we want to punish you, but we want to also change people's mindset. In the UK, when they realized that a lot of them were very bad many years ago, they took plenty of them and they took them to Australia. Of course, this is a joke that some people don't know, but most people who come from Australia, most people come from Australia, they took them to Australia. And so when I went to Australia, and some of the Aborigines were complaining about how some of the white folks were handling us. So no problem. Some of them, where they have come from, the things in their blood.
And then you ship you away.
Ship you away.
So what Canon has said is quite encouraging. We should go a step further, because the infrastructure of the prisons haven't changed in a long while. You go to our prisons. Once upon a time, I used to be in Rotary, and we used to visit the prisons, and you even see the way they are stacked. It's like the slave trade ships, how they're sleeping in the prison. So some rejuvenation, and yes, before you start, and that is why I think it's a process. Once you start one, you need to go through, so that at the end, that reformation that we are looking for happens.
All right. We'll give you a chance to also have your say on this matter at 8:20. We'll give you the phone lines and you can give us a call and speak on what's on your mind this morning. It's the 27th of July, 2023. My guests, Kwame Jantua and Canon Lawrence Tetteh, also Reverend Doctor. And just to let you know that although the death penalty has been abolished in Ghana, it still remains for high treason. And I'm sure Mr. Jantua can tell me what high treason. What is high treason?
High treason is a situation where, like, the so-called verticals begin and close, someone trying their best to use very violent means to overthrow a government, very violent means to start some kind of a war in the country, things that would harm the entire country.
So the death penalty still remains for that?
So that remains because the law is not higher than the Constitution, because it is stated in the Constitution that anybody who tries that kind of act would be tried for treason.
Meaning that those chaps in Niger who have declared a coup on national television, if they are arrested, and if the law in their country states that they need to be executed, then they face the possibility of execution.
Yes.
Okay, great for that. And I'm just giving you extra information that, please, do not try to send drugs to any of the countries I'm about to list, because in those countries, punishment is execution. Okay, execution. These are the countries: Brunei, Guyana, Iran, Jordan, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, which was formerly called Burma, Qatar, where we had the World Cup, Singapore, Sudan, Syria, United Arab Emirates. You enter there with drugs, Agbena for you.
Finish.
It's like shutting down a computer. Windows. Computer is off. You are gone. So be very careful. Okay. Here
we shouldn't even encourage people
That's what I'm saying.
sending drugs anywhere.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But I'm just telling you that
it's illegal.
It's crazy in some places. They will
It's
just kill you.
illegal.
Yeah.
And
I'm not asking you to
not just
ship out
illegal,
drugs anywhere.
it's very evil. You know, people don't know that these things we do in life are seeds. And when they say prosperity will judge us, you don't know where it's going to come from. We are sowing seed. And I've seen a lot of great drug barons who think they live well, they enjoy well, they talk at the top of their voice, they speak down on everybody, but they never get their children well. They never get their family well. So you might get away with it, but the people in your family, that they spiritually can be affected. So we have to be careful. And also, you don't need to be in drug to live well.
No.
People want a microwave kind of riches, and it makes them call a bluff. But please, live well. I don't think Lawyer Jantua here, of all the things he's done, we know who his father was. We know how he God blessed them. And the man is a lawyer. He's doing well. He's an expert. He's an oil expert. He could have done so many things to himself. But look at him. Very humble, seated here. I'm seated here today, and in spite of all the achievement, I'm happy to go free. Don't go into drug. Drug must be a no. And you, the young men and young women who want a microwave blessing, be very careful. You end yourself in trouble. And by the time you realize this can destroy your future, live a good life. So when you die, your prophecies and the tribute that will be given to you, the eulogies, would not be exaggerated.
Awesome.
Let me ask
Great
a controversial question.
Let's ask. We like controversy.
So we have passed the law with regards to medical marijuana.
Yes.
If it so happens that we find that medical marijuana, although it's being grown, the other type of marijuana too is being grown highly, and people start smuggling it out, what happens?
Good question.
What happens? Or people now start smoking it more, what happens? And so, for me, the passing of that law, in as much as, and we discussed it here, in as much as it has medical advantages, the other side of it is that it has health disadvantages. And we really should have looked into it deeper and should be able to put the barriers and enforce the laws of anyone who tries to use that disadvantaged marijuana. Because it can create certain situations. Look, when I was in Adisado, some of my friends who used to smoke it, most of them are dead today. And it starts from then. The seed that Canon is telling, you sow that seed, it becomes part and parcel of you and becomes very difficult to get rid of. So let's see how this passing of this law will affect society in terms of the smoking of marijuana.
All right, and I'm glad.
Okay.
I'm glad. Oh, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say
no,
something.
go ahead.
I'm glad you come from this. And I had a long chat with Honorable, of course, lawyer Yaw Cressy Sarpong. Cressy Sarpong was the head of narcotic board for a very long time. And this Brian is like my big brother. We are brothers, really. Yaw Cressy Sarpong, we stayed together, we released together. We stayed in the East. And he was one of the strongest advocates of the promotion of marijuana as a drug. So we had a very long chat.
Legalizing
marijuana to be used as a medicinal. So we had a very long chat, and of course, when it comes out, it's very convincing. It's one person you should get here, one of the, put him and Lajantua together, because Christ upon us also has become, is a biochemist, a pharmacist, a lawyer, so, or Nanwati. Put him and Lajantua together, not me. But I keep saying this thing that for some of us, it's just the grace of God that we are still alive. I remember I smoked weed once.
What was it like?
When I was in secondary school, I want to tell you my story. When I smoked it, I saw the sky very close.
Wow.
And I wanted to jump to touch the sky. This thing, the first time I preached and I said enough Christian Assemblies of God, my parents cried. My father said, "Did you do that?" I said, "Yes." I smoked the thing and I saw the sky very close. And I wanted to jump to just touch the sky. And I was wondering why nobody was touching the sky. And until a very good friend of mine told me, say, "Man, you make like the thing go through your head." When they brought me back to campus and they put water on me and I cleared, I never touched again. I must confess, I have a lot of friends that I know, of course, for me to be in academics till now. We have people who do it. I can sit around those days and things and make sure that no, because I
do you know why you did it? Do you think you were pushed or were you curious? Why did you do it?
Friends, this issue of peer
pressure,
peer pressure, peer influence. And that is why if you are watching and you are listening, be very careful. Don't be silly. Don't be foolish. Don't be stupid. Don't be unwise. If you don't take care, you end up in the hands of wrong people. And by the time you realize your thing is gone, life is gone. And I did that thing unconsciously. I was with the friends and our peers are doing, so everybody did it. And for me, it was only the grace of God that survived me. But I know friends.
The people who you smoked with, where are they?
Oh, some of them didn't end up well. Some of them didn't end up well. And then and there's a particular one who coincidentally was in my house. Of course, I told Russell will be very emotional about what I'm saying. Was in my house 3 days today. Came to kneel there and said, "Lawrence, I wish I took the decision you took." It's so sad. I mean, this is a very, I don't want to mention the name, but very sensitive. And the tears in his eye, he has no life. I mean, at this age of his, where we become virtually pensioners and retirees, and he has no life. His whole life is a mess, and that's what he lives on. And for him, if he doesn't do it, he rather feels very nervous.
Like 50 years.
Yes, 60. Man, I'm not a young man.
Yes, but he started smoking about 50 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. So you can imagine, they have fired all this time, so their whole life is a mess. And so we have to be careful. And just like in our schools, you are following friends, you are following junks, you are following people, and by the time you realize, they've messed up your life. And so I wanted to touch the sky, and I kept jumping, and I was wondering why nobody can make that history until they step on my toes and told me, "Charlie, make like the thing where the jump." They told me how many thousands of miles the sky is. And of course, when I came back to my senses, God, Lawrence, how stupid. Second line, and from that time, I advised myself never. And this thing I'm talking about, I was a teenager at that time.
How old?
I was about 16, 14, 16. So some 16.
Were you going to church around in those times?
Oh, yeah. My parents were Christians. My mother was a very staunch Methodist. She sang in the choir. In fact, 80-something, she still believes she's a strong chorister. My father was a very strong Presbyterian. So I had a Christian upbringing. Of course, we tried to make like we don't want to be a dad about that sort of things or share this thing. And I almost got myself into a mess. So be very careful. Don't follow certain people. I was blessed or privileged by that time that God rescued me. And I took a lesson. I didn't continue again. But there are people who followed. And I can see the trail of certain people's life is destroyed. So I think get hold of Yakras.
We will. It's a good lead.
And him and Kwame Janta, they are both lawyers.
Yes. It's interesting he spoke about the fact that he went to DeSadel College, because yesterday we also had an old student of DeSadel and the person of Neodate Lamte, former host on this particular show. And Adisco is still in the news because the Deputy Minister for Education, he's in charge of general education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, has directed management of DeSadel College to submit the report of the investigation team set up to look into the bullying case in the school to the ministry today. So this is fresh, hot news on graphic.com.gh, just published at 7:06, barely an hour ago. So the directive is a revised timeline for the investigation team, which was initially expected to go into the issue and submit a report in 2 weeks. So they've collapsed the time. They want it done today. The Deputy Minister has further tasked the school authorities to immediately start a psycho support system for all final year students of the school as they prepare to sit for the West African Senior School Certificate examinations. And so the head of public relations at the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum Ampofo, said that those were part of the outcomes of separate meetings with the management of Adesado College, parents of the victim, and the culprit. So the ministry has agreed to facilitate further medical examination of the victim to ensure that he did not develop any major health complications as a result of the incident. So the victim was taken to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, aka RICH, I believe, after the meeting at the ministry in the company of Reverend Fojo for medical examination. And so this meeting was to enable the ministry and the GES to gain further insight into the incident, which took place on the last day of June, just when the year ended, the half year ended, June 30, and the videos went viral on social media last Monday. After the viral video, the GES issued a statement on Monday expressing deep concerns and condemned what it described as a barbaric act of violence in our schools. So that's the latest on the issues of the altercation or what took place. That's what that took place in Kweku House in Adesado College. So if you haven't seen the video, I don't want you to see it because it's not really good. He held this man by the neck and his feet were off. The young man's feet was off the ground, and then he slammed him into a metal bed. And yeah, so basically this is the update. Was that your old house?
No, I was in Hamlin House.
Hamlin House.
I was in Hamlin House.
Yeah.
But
how did it make you feel when you heard this story and it was associated with your old school?
I saw the video, and to me, it's not bullying. To me, it's assault. It was an argument over, and I spoke to the headmaster,
okay,
and I heard it. It was an argument over a SIM card.
Which they're not supposed to even have in school,
Yes,
right?
a SIM card. That was for the victim.
Okay.
So it turned into a quarrel, and the victim was handled that way. It's assault. So I don't understand why media is calling it bullying. It's assault. They are both third-year students of Adesado College.
So they are colleagues.
It's not as if they're junior. I thought it was even a junior.
No.
It was a junior, yes, it was called it bullying. But they are classmates. And he took this hook type way that the Americans tend to use, the police used to,
chokehold.
Yeah, chokehold. And for me, it was assault.
Lifted him off the
Lifted
ground.
him off the ground.
Wow.
And the reason why they suspended the victim too was that when it was now taken to the housemaster, they both denied that they were quarreling, said they were playing.
It's because the SIM belonged to him and you're also supposed to have the SIM, right?
But the thing is that, you see, and this is what it happens in secondary schools. In our time, it also happened. You are scared to tell on even your colleague,
exactly,
who you feel has some kind of popularity.
Yeah. Oh, it's a code of honor.
Yes.
You're not supposed to report on people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So apparently, the housemaster asked several times, that, "Are you sure you guys were playing? How come you've got this cut on your head?" And so he treated it and investigated no more. And that is what caused them to suspend the assistant housemaster too. It's assault. Now, the challenge is that in situations like this, is it up to the school to handle, or should the school report it to the police?
How about GES?
Or even GES? But it's assault. You've assaulted someone. And what does the law say? It's up to the school. Because if they try to use their disciplinary action, sometimes it gets repeated. So that balance, and GS should come out with policies that are clear. Why would somebody in a school, very soon you're going to do your exams. Why should you be involved in this kind of thing? And it happens right through our schools. Right through. Happens in plenty schools. And unfortunately, in the boys' school, sometimes you have the macho ones, and sometimes you have the timid ones.
Somebody will argue, though, that although they are all in the same class, it's still bullying, because this man was visiting violence on somebody who was weaker than him, and that's what bullying is really. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be psychological, it could be sexual. You're trying to dominate somebody who you think is weaker than you, or you think you have power over.
What if it turned into a fight that ended both of them having lacerations on their face, on their bodies?
Yeah.
Would you call that bullying?
That's why you lawyers, when they catch somebody, then they give so many charges. Murder,
So many.
murder, this is plenty, a whole
Count. So that they can catch
They
you.
can catch you in any of them, assault, bullying, attempted previous bodily harm,
Exactly.
everything,
Exactly.
No, I was looking
You
at
can
this.
even say grievous bodily harm.
yeah.
Yes.
I was looking at the level of indiscipline that seems to be creeping through our schools now. One out of them still had a phone,
Yes,
to
and
record
was able to record it.
Otherwise, this would have been, nobody would have.
And that is what the headmaster said.
Yes.
The headmaster said, and sorry not to cut
Okay.
you, the headmaster said when they now asked them and they said, oh, they were just playing, there was no evidence. Till. And the reason why they also suspended the one who sent it viral was the fact that he could have given it to them.
Tender it in
exactly,
evidence.
as evidence. But
Yes.
this is what happened. But he rather
Broadcast it.
broadcast it. And that's why they also suspended him.
Is it time for CCTV cameras in the dorms?
Maybe, because I'm sure a lot of things happen in the dormitories, but that too will expose the condition of dormitories in our
Overcrowded.
schools. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I went to my old school and I realized the dormitories are really
Overcrowded.
seriously
Yes.
overcrowded. People were lying on the floor, on the
And
bed.
even the toilets within the dormitories,
Not good.
it's not a sight to be seen. So a whole, you see, in other jurisdictions, something like this would now create a whole revamp
of things. Yeah.
in the system.
Exactly.
But in Ghana,
Yeah.
full
It's a
stop.
discourse problem.
Yes, a discourse problem.
Yeah.
They would look at all schools. All schools.
Yeah.
And Adisado is a grade 1 school. It's part of the grade 1 schools. And if it's part of the grade 1 schools, this should be looked at in all those grade 1 schools, because people don't expect such a thing to happen.
Imagine what's happening in the grade 3 schools.
Yes. And I must say I agree with Lawyer Jantua, but listening to Reverend Intim Fojo, I felt very comforted. It was very stern. The kind of program that is rolled out to follow up on it was very good. He himself was with the patients to the hospital.
Yeah.
His follow-up, not just to the parents, but his summoned the leadership to meet with him. And of course, Intim Fojo, if you know him, as young as he is, a very sharp guy. He's very balanced. He's one person that I think has a very great future, very, very balanced. So he's handling it not just as a parliamentarian or as a minister, but also as a reverend minister who think that these things must be checked. We need to do something about our schools. I agree with the CCTV system. We've all been to schools before, and there are certain things that happen. I'll tell you something that happened to me when I was little, and I think that thing was very unfair. I went to school very early, and so we were bathing in the bathroom, and then I look in front of me, and I look in front of somebody, and I thought the difference was too huge. The difference was
in your favor?
it was against me. And I felt, as young as I was, that I thought, oh, Charlie, what's wrong?
Start growing, man. What's going on?
So I started, hey, immediately, and he slapped me. You see, and I thought that was not fair. And he slapped me with the soap and everything.
Oh.
And it's like-
But when I was in Adisado bathroom, you dare not look at your senior. You dare not even turn your head. If you're under the shower, be under the shower.
shower.
Just walk away. Don't even look. Because even when you haven't looked, because he wants to punish you, who do nothing.
What I saw, you see, when I look at my own and I look at him, what I saw, I thought, hey,
life is not fair.
God, what am I going to get? What am I going to get here? And the slap that I got, and I thought that was unfair. And these things, I kept it. In fact, it's now, maybe I'm older now that I can talk about it, but I still remember that guy's name in my head. And then, seriously, anytime I see him, it's like, wow, people carry these things along. But you realize that if we have some of those CCTV and it's monitored properly, people will
behave.
And then you'll be surprised what happened at dormitories.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people's life are being infringed on. And I remember, this is a very interesting one, but here is a story from a pastor. 4 boys went to a retreat from one of these boys' schools. And it was Steve, Dave, Michael, and Samuel. Apparently, Steve snores like no man business. Snores so much that when they went, it was only 2 rooms, so they decided to sleep. It was 3-day program, so every day, maybe Kafui or Kwame Janto or Lawrence will go and sleep with them. When you go and sleep with Steve, you get up in the morning, your whole face is messed up, you can't sleep because it snores so much. So Michael did it, and the following day he couldn't. It's messed. He said, why? He said, Steve snores so much, I couldn't sleep. The following day, they changed it, and then Samuel also went. Samuel could not just sleep. He got up in the morning, he was messed. Then the 3rd person who went was David. David got up in the morning and he was looking smart, sharp, very well kept. Rather, the person who looked very chubby and messed was Steve. So everybody asked him, what did you do? He said, oh, all he did was that when they finished bath, he went to look at Steve and look at him and say, oh, your things are very nice. Your things are very nice. The way he behaved towards Steve suspected that maybe he's on the other side. So he started up the hole.
That was the way he got the guy to stop.
He didn't sleep.
Just in case. A vigilant.
Rather, it was David who slept soundly.
And the guy was worried.
So when they got up in the morning, it was the opposite. That's on the lighter side. But let us be very vigilant with our children. That's nothing so painful like you sent your child to school and they come out with certain habits and things.
But again, you know, in our days, that wasn't there. Right now, we should have situations where students and children should feel free to talk to authorities.
Listen, yesterday we had something on bullying in school, and people were confessing that they felt depressed going back to school because of the kind of environment that they were going to. The fear of being bullied, fear of being harassed, fear of being terrorized. And they've done research to show that people even have ideas of suicide.
Yes.
And my children are telling me that their friends who went to SHS in the public schools, they came and tell them horror stories about how it's frightening to go back to school.
I'll tell you a story about myself. I was born premature, so it took quite some time for me to develop. I had a class 3 teacher, I won't mention her name. She was brutal. When she's teaching you and you don't seem to see it, she will brutalize you in class. And I remember she asked me to come up to the blackboard to do some sums, and I got it wrong. She banged my head on the blackboard. I couldn't tell because when I got home, I was scared to even tell my father. Because my father would think, you're a lazy boy. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So I kept it. But you know what it did to me? I became very timid. Very, very timid. And I'll go to class and I'll be quiet.
You don't want to be beaten.
Even when I want to get up and to go to the toilet to wee, I wouldn't. I will sit and wait till break because of the way the teacher treated me in class. And sometimes I ask myself, what have I done to this woman? That she's always, coming at me. And it took some time before it lifted off me, till I got to class 6. And you see, so you can imagine the kind of intimidation that those who can't defend themselves go through with bullying in schools. So we must have a system where it's easy for students, children, to go and report.
Maybe anonymously.
So that if your child,
it's a one-on-one,
if your child has
yeah.
been brutalized in school, how can you be anonymous about it? And parents should also be free enough to listen, because sometimes some parents don't listen. Some parents too go gung-ho in there because something has happened to their child.
Coming like Rambo.
Exactly,
Rambo
coming like
style.
Rambo. But you also need to listen to the circumstances that led to a particular issue. So for me, there has to be a whole, right now where we are with our schools, especially with the policy of free education, getting quite a lot of children in school, there needs to be systems in place where children can vent some of the challenges that they go through in school.
Okay, let me announce the phone number, 0543 664 264. 0543 664 264. It's up on the screen like magic. 0543 664 264. What's on your mind? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Reverend Tete, Mr. Jantua are here. We've talked about the issues in the news, death penalty. We've also talked about the Adisco issues and assault and bullying and matters arising. We'd love to hear from you. 0543 664 264. Kindly, it's on the screen. Please, when you call us, put your television volume to 0. Speak to us through the phone. We will hear you, all right? And then you can tell us what is on your mind. Let me run through the headlines quickly while I wait for your calls. So, Daily Graphic, birth asphyxia. 50,000 babies die annually when they get strangled. Yeah,
No, when
they get suffocated.
When they don't get enough
Air.
oxygen.
They don't get enough air. 50,000 every year. It's pretty sad. Black flies have invaded a lot in Kwantanang, in Dawanya. And we have our first caller, Daniel from Dawanya. He only took the word out of my mouth. Daniel, good morning. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good morning to you all.
Morning.
And I am very, very impressed. And with Lawyer Jantua, what he just said about those who kill somebody willfully, should they also believe? They should leave them to that life imprisonment. They should also be killed. Simple. If you butcher somebody with a knife, to me, you should also be butchered. You pull gun, go to somebody and go and shoot, and it's clear that this is what you did. You should also be killed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Although your argument is coming after the law has been passed. Maybe there should have been a national conversation on this before the parliamentarians went to pass the law. Because now the comments are coming after the law has been passed. The horse has bolted, and now you are closing the stable doors.
There could be amendments to it, couldn't there?
There could be. Yes. Well, there could be. All right, thank you so much. So 0543 664 264. That's your thought. We'd like to hear from you as well. The NPP has conducted balloting for the delegates conference. On top, number 1 is Mr. Kennedy Ajapong. And number 10 is the Messi of the moment, Vice President Bawumia. I'll give you the other numbers later. All right, Bright, good morning. Where are you calling from?
All right, good morning. I'm calling from Katwa.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
All right. It's good for everyone to go to school. But then what I want, not everybody is meant to go to school.
Explain.
Yeah, the reason is when we look at the video that went on in the Adisalo College, that video was very devastating. That boy, he doesn't look like a student. Actually, that was too cruel of him. Yeah. So I think the free education is really worrying in the system, because a whole lot of people is being pushed into the system, and it's worrying. It's really worrying. The government should look through and then try to take care of this free education. Not everybody is meant to go to school. If you are not meant to go to school, don't go there. Thank you.
Are you promoting ignorance or something? I don't understand.
As much as he's done something that we need to remind him and discipline him, it will not be fair if we say he's not going to school. We all have the right to education. And as a matter of fact, I've seen some of the rugged people in society who are brilliant people. And so he might have an attitude, but that does not negate the fact that he also has a right to education. And we should be very careful not to use this thing. If we don't take care, we become emotional about it. And emotions have no intellect. So we end up, because of our anger towards him, we'll be missing the fact that, and for all you know, now, he's sitting back and saying how foolish he has been.
And then he'll know.
He'll know,
Thank you so much for that. Kojo is on the line, 0543-664-264. Kojo, are you there? Kojo is not there. Sorry about that, Kojo. Try to call us again.
That is why it is important that when we brought the free education out, it's a whole process that needed to be looked at. And if that process was looked at from day one, some of these things would have been able to overcome.
So big conversations are required before these things are put in. That's the general consensus of my people here. 0543-664-264. No licenses have been granted to exploit lithium, says the Lands Ministry. And ECG is experiencing transformer theft in Eastern region. People, you are bold, oh. You are stealing transformers. Wow. Peter from Wager is on the line. Peter, good morning. What's on your mind?
Good morning, and thanks you for your topic this morning. I want to contribute to the discussion.
Contribute.
Chief, abolishing death sentence is not a concern of some of us. There is a huge issue that we think Parliament should consider abolishing. The issue of communal sentencing. People go to steal a bunch of plantain and is sentenced to 2 years. Somebody go to steal a fowl because he wants to just go and prepare some small fowl soup. He's sentenced for 2 years. This thing has been lingering since independence. We thought Parliament could have done that before the abolition of the death sentence. Since 1992 or 1993 January till today, nobody had been executed. And all those people who were sentenced for death are in prison for life. So some of us jubilating over abolishing that law is nothing.
Alrighty.
Because there are little things that we can ask people to go and do when you are sent to court on pertinent issues that end up sending people to the jail.
We get you. Peter from Wager basically saying that we need to speed up the passage of the community service sentencing bill to decongest prisons, because he thinks that's also adding the fact that people are sitting in remand for long times and they are being jailed for things that would have been commuted to doing some kind of sanitation or community service, farming or communal labor somewhere, and to decongest the prisons. That is his thought. Thank you so much, Peter from Wager. 0543-264-664-264. Let's go to Bolga right now and speak to Joseph. What's on your mind, Joseph?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
And I say good morning to Joshua.
Yes.
Morning.
You know, when he's speaking, I can feel integrity in him. So when I'm going through the channels and I see him anywhere, that is where I was.
He's a magnet. He's a magnet. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you see, in Ghana, we have a way of doing things. We pick what we think we want. In those days, society was taking care of children, helping parents to take care of children. Ghana today is not like that. Okay, we said free education. Look at us. You're really working right. I'm a student of counseling, and I know that if they put those things right in our schools, we'll be able to solve a whole lot of challenges. Unfortunately, it involves some money, and because of that, government is not interested. But what we are interested in is that we want to buy what's the name, iPads and all those things for children. At what end? We don't ask any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions. Thank you so much. 0543. The number is right there. 664-264. What is on your mind? Let me be giving you some more headlines while we're waiting for your call. Newborns to receive hepatitis B vaccines within 24 hours of birth, beginning next year, Ghanaian times. They'll also be getting their Ghana cards within a couple of hours of being born. So yeah, digital babies being born in Ghana. Kennedy Japan picks first position for August special delegates voting for MPP. And on that note, let's go to Nicholas. Nicholas calling us from Ghana, somewhere in Ghana. All right, Nicholas.
But if
an armed robber come into your house and kill your wife, kill your daughter, and rape one of them, and at the same time kill all of them, and then they wounded you, about to die, could you even ask the person to go free? Please. It is not easy, my brother. It is not easy. As for the death penalty, they should not consider it to abolish it all. They have to remain it.
My brother, it's abolished.
Yes.
Chief, it's gone. It's only high treason. If you try to overthrow the government or kill the leader or whatever, you will be executed if you are found guilty. But it's gone now. It's gone.
Because there's more important things that our parliamentarians are supposed to do.
Like?
But they refuse to do.
What is more important to you?
Like what?
Oh, you told me there are more important things. I'm just curious. What are the more important things?
There's the man and the woman.
Oh, the LGBTQ plus I plus.
They are not doing anything about it.
They are discussing it.
All concerned about the death.
Bros, they are discussing it. It's going through the process.
They should
Okay.
do something about it and look through about it.
Okay, we'll tell them to speed up. Within the limits of how they do the work. But thanks a lot.
You know one thing, when you asked him,
Yes.
he should tell you one thing that you think they are not doing. For me, the broadcasting bill.
So
The
broadcasting
broadcasting bill.
Yeah.
Because the influence of the things we show on television is having a direct effect on society and the youth.
Indeed.
And really, that broadcasting bill, I don't understand why it's been in Parliament for all this while. And that nobody wants to do anything about it.
Okay, so that's something
that is a very potent statement.
Yeah.
You know, in the UK where I've lived for many years, Ofcom monitors any content.
Office of Communication, yes.
Even those of us who are preachers on TV,
They monitor it.
they monitor us. I know preachers who are my colleagues, I know, who are not on TV anymore in the UK.
Because of Ofcom.
Yes.
Because of Ofcom.
Let me take this caller, the last caller, and then we're done. Those of you who are interested in the death penalty, there'll be a conversation on that later on this network, so don't be worried at all. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir. And it's a privilege to be the last caller.
Wonderful. It's a privilege to hear you, the last caller. What's on your mind?
And I say, thank you so much. This is my first time of calling.
Atu.
Getting to your panelists.
Yes.
I think that bullying didn't start there recently. That's one thing we should know. And all of us have been in secondary school, and we've seen bullying each and every day. It's unfortunate this thing went an extreme. But I can tell you that it's something that's happening and it's still happening. So the house-masters need to look at how to monitor. I would suggest that they should even get an intel, one of the students each and every year from the various halls, and then let them feed them information each and every day. Update them. Look, this is what happened. This is what that's happening. I mean, let the students update them. Without what they'll be able to know at their dorms, at the various dorms, what happens there.
All right.
Else,
So
it will happen at the bright side of them.
more intel.
But they have done prefect, they have dormitory prefect.
but things are still
They have
happening.
done prefect. Yes,
But the things still started happening.
Yes, they still have.
Ghanaians and Africans are used to Big Brother, where they put you in a house and then they put cameras on you 24/7, except when you go into the toilet. So maybe we should have cameras in our dorms.
I mean, when I was in Adisado, I was the dorm overseer
Okay.
for the upper dorm.
Yeah.
And any problems that happened, they would come and tell me. I would then go and tell the house prefect.
Yes.
And the house prefect would then go to the house master.
This is the GCE
Yes,
O-level
this is
system.
the O-level
7 years.
system,
Yeah.
yes.
They give you the ranking.
Yes,
they tell you what
they
to
give
do.
you that ranking.
Yes, the hierarchies.
So as a dormitory overseer, you could see that you had some power.
Authority.
But how you use that authority was key. Because you walk in and you see a Form 3 boy has punched a Form 1 boy. The boy has been kneeling there for more than an hour. It is your duty as the dormitory overseer to go and ask, why have you punished this young Form 1 boy? And you can release the boy.
Fantastic. So we need to have these kind of
It
systems.
doesn't happen again in
And
our
we
schools.
need
The
it.
system must be in place and
Yes.
it must work.
Must work.
So GS has a huge responsibility.
Yes.
And look, it's as I keep saying, some of these things are not party issues. They are national issues. So even if they want information, they should have national debates so that people can talk about it. Indeed. And they can use that to bring the policies out.
Excellent suggestions from my panel. We have 3 minutes to go. For me, this is my story of the moment. So this man has been auctioning goods and animals that misbehave in the municipality. Gan West MCE. I was very angry with him when I was listening to him over the weekend because he was trying to tell us that Madam Cicely, the past money there could have been a funeral donation from some company, which I thought was ridiculous. But today is my man. Okay, so the municipal chief executive for Gan West, Clement Wilkinson, has implemented a bylaw in his constituency to address the issue of animals causing damage to property due to negligence from their members. He spoke on an interview on Radio Universe on July 20. He says, unless you don't like reading, we have a chunk of laws for goats, dogs, and other animals. We have arrested goats, cows, dogs, and other animals. The thing is, you don't just wake up and go and arrest such animals. He said that the process starts with residents lodging formal complaints at the police station, specifying the name of the animal's owner. Then the police go and arrest both the owner and the animal involved. But however, due to the absence of animal cells in Ghana, the judicial process is often hindered. He says, if you have a garden or a farm where you've planted stuff and animals are worrying you, this is how we go about it for you. Do the complaint, the police will arrest the owner and the animals, they take them to the court. We're supposed to be taken to court within 24 hours, but we don't have animal cells. So when they're taken to court and the judge sentences them to prison, we won't get anywhere to take them to. So he said, I just have to look through my bylaws and make my own cells. So that if they don't even go to court, right from police station to my cells, they come to my cells, I give the owners a maximum of 6 days to come for their animals. Then I double their price for them. But if they don't report after 10 days, then I gather them and feed them for about a month. Then I'll announce that maybe tomorrow I'm doing auctioning. So anybody interested should come and buy. If a thing doesn't have a name, it means you can't auction it. So I have to give them names like Emmanuel, Edward, Akufo, Mahama, John, and others, he stated. He added that the auctioning of these animals has reportedly generated substantial internal generated funds for the Gan West constituency. So maybe Edward, 20 CD, 250, 300, then someone will come and buy. Do you know he's been giving us IGF that we've been using to paint our schools and other development projects? So this is Clement Wilkinson, MCE for Gan West, auctioning goats, cows, dogs, other animals. He reminds me of Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew actually arrested, he gave a time, arrested the animal, and then he didn't even go through this long process. He killed the animals, finished them, and then gave them to the Osu Children's Homes of Singapore. And that's how he solved the problem. But I think shout out to Clement Wilkinson. He's doing something good.
In the UK, same as Cannon has lived, I have lived. Do you see dogs walking around?
No.
There's a place in the UK called Battersea Dog Home. The moment they see the dog around, they catch the dog and take it there.
They take your dog to home?
If there is a stray dog walking around, they will catch it and take it to the dog home. Come and claim it. Come and claim it. In Ghana, where you see dogs everywhere. And some of these dogs have not been vaccinated against rabies.
And everything,
What is even more annoying is the fact that you're driving on the main road and you see a herd of cows being shepherded on the main road, and you have to stop for the cows to cross.
Give way to
and you
cows.
see a policeman standing there doing absolutely nothing about it.
Give way to the cows on your
And
right.
if you try to ask the shepherd, why are you bringing the insult he will give you?
Please don't get yourself insulted.
Because his cows are much more important than you using the road. And we can't do anything about it.
You are more important to us than any of those cows.
Okay.
Mr. Janto, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please let me comment this one before I forget. There is an ongoing program at Goma Fete by the Church of Pentecost.
Awesome.
On national development. We've invited all the leaders and stakeholders, and I want to commend the Church of Pentecost. My good brother and friend, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, I think you are doing a good work. This is what it's supposed to be. The church must have a voice in the nation. In the olden days, kings, priests, and prophets ruled together. Any nation that has not have an input from the religious leadership is dead. So
we did a new story on it, so we can end it.
Canon, let me also tell you, in as much as that is good, I expect the canons, the priests, the reverends, the bishops, the archbishops to use the pulpit to talk about some of the ills in this country.
I think they are doing that.
A majority of them who have influence, they don't talk about it. You do, but some don't. Because they have certain relationships with those who are, exactly. But you have a congregation that is in there, speak about
Captive
it.
company.
Yes.
The nonsense must stop.
It should stop.
Finish.
This
You
nonsense
know,
must
All right.
if it's the president who's done something
Tell
wrong,
him.
say
All
it.
right.
What about Apostle
Thank you.
did very well
He did well.
yesterday. I mean, I like the way he approached.
Thank you so
let
much.
us be straight and let us not
Straightforward.
play politics. We shouldn't be politically right. Let's call a spade a spade. And the politicians need that for them to be straight. Because whether we like it or not, all the politicians come to our churches. Let us not dilly-dally. And let us not play it too safe. Otherwise, we'll be losing it.
Finish. We've lost it as far as
lost
time is
it,
concerned. We are done. We've lost time. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Conversation
It's good.
is good. We have death penalty coming
We
out.
ran away from that.
No, you stay around. Don't go anywhere. This is GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafri J. Wonderful conversations.
And we miss
Yes. We miss Sheikh.